I will tell you something you cannot publish. Maybe you can. Bodyguards are split. And I said, I heard this. He said, yeah, you're right. I said, Dad, no. He said, get your ass in my office. I have companies that allow me, large companies, to be the labs. And when they see the results, I don't have to say anything. So I'm inventing, everybody knows. Why some succeed and why some fail.
Welcome to Grit in the Boardroom. I'm Erika Eliasson-Norris, and today's guest is someone I've admired for many years. Ram Charan is a legend in business and corporate governance. For 4 decades, he's advised the boards and chief executives of GE, Bank of America, Toyota, Verizon, and many other global organizations. His insights have guided leaders through transformation, succession, and crisis. Ram's journey is remarkable. Born in India, he began by helping in his family's shoe shop before earning his MBA and doctorate at Harvard Business School. He later taught at Harvard and at the Kellogg School of Management before dedicating his life to helping boards and leaders make decisions that matter. His 6 books include Execution, Boards That Lead, and the Amazon Management System have shaped how organizations think about performance, strategy, and governance. Yet what makes Ram extraordinary is not only his intellect, but also his humility, his discipline, and his ability to see what others miss. I've had the privilege for knowing Ram for several years. His guidance and friendship have meant a great deal to me. Today we explore not only what he has learnt from a lifetime inside the boardroom, but who he is, what continues to drive him, and how he sees leadership evolving in a rapidly changing world. Welcome, Ram. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, your background started in India, the family shoe shop. What lessons did you take from that family shoe shop that still influence how you see leadership and service today?
Yes. So as you look at many, many successful people, what they did in their early childhood has a lot of impact on their progress. In entertainment, somebody was a father, mother. In sports, teacher spotted somebody. Similarly, in India particularly, there is a kind of group that they are traders. Traders not in the stock market sense. These are the small shops that serve local needs, kirana merchants, shoes, clothes. And this is where the children learn how to service a customer and how to make money, how to buy things, how to price things, how to store things. That's the essential essence of a business. So the shoe shop is the same. What kind of shoes to buy, how many to buy, how to price, how to make a little profit. What do you do when you don't sell the shoes? This is the anatomy of every single business. By the age of 12, I was able to master it. Did that. It is exactly that training I can solve, learn, analyze any industry in the world. And that's what got me to know almost all industries the world has today. So I can go to any conglomerate, any CEO. In about 5 to 8 hours, I get to the bottom of it. And be able to talk in his language, find his pressures and pains. That's what I do.
And how do you think that kind of helped support your perspective on leadership? Because there is that leadership, right? Even in a small business that you speak of.
Yeah, I think we should think about, in those days, there was no such thing as leadership. Nobody in business, any company, ever called leadership. It was either owner or chief executive, and the rest of them were managers.
But you must have had people within your family that occupied
No, I'm going to take
those.
you through that. First thing I want to disabuse the word leadership.
Okay, fair.
It's all managing. You force people to do things they don't want to do. Think about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, actually.
No.
Yeah, you are right.
It's realistic perspective.
Yeah, no, you're right. You are absolutely right.
You get people to agree to do things that are legally and ethically correct, but they don't like to do.
Wow, that
Let's just
perspective.
stop right here.
Yeah, that perspective must follow through in the way that you advise boards.
Same thing. You don't force a batsman to be wicket keeper. But there, in a public match that is transparent, if you force somebody to play a certain thing, that exposure will have impact negatively on the coach and the captain. In business, when you are in a company, you do things you don't want to do. You think, I don't like it, I can't do it. You get to stretch targets. They know they can't do it, and they spend a ton of energy how to figure out. When they go to reviews monthly, they shake in their pants, say, what am I going to be saying when they say I didn't meet it? And they're horrible. Many of them insulted very badly. It's fear. A great deal of managing is through fear.
Does it have to be that way?
No.
Is that the default, people?
No, but this is what it is. So leadership is a wonderful word. You're going to manage people to do things. So the shoe shop is run by my cousins and my brothers. They're running it. It's only 3 people in the shop. Eldest brother, by definition in the Indian civilization, is the captain. Just the way it is. And it's only 3 people, it's the family. So there's no real stuff. What he says, let's get done. Yeah. Occasionally, he listens to say, no, let's not do it this way. But you learn, because he knew very well. We started the business, he started the business, they started the business. And within 1 year, we were number 1. And within 1 year, we paid the capital back to our parents.
Wow, that's a success.
That shop today is 75 years old.
Wow. That's a legacy.
78, 70 years old. It still runs it. My point here is a simple one. Learning how business makes money, there is no better place than to work either as a street vendor or as managing a family single store. It's exactly the same. So I wrote that in my book, What the CEO Wants You to Know, some 30 years ago. It's there, and it compares with Jack Welch running GE. It's exactly same language, same terminology, translated into local dialect. It's across the whole globe. It's been going on for centuries, and nobody ever had videos to go down and learn. It is prevalent in every single village, every single country. Same terminology, same language. Just like music has common language, medicine has a common language, business has a common language. Business has more common language than the other two. It's going on for 5,000 years.
Wow. And moving on to your time at Harvard, when you arrived at Harvard, how did that experience shape your sense of possibility? It was obviously worlds apart from what you had grown up in. And was there a moment that you realized that you really wanted to dedicate your life to understanding how people lead?
No. See, first, lucky to get in Harvard. That's the real piece. And you go the first day or second day, and they teach something. And you look at it, in your class you have 79 superb students, much better than I am. Much, much better. And they come from all walks of life, from all over the world. I'm so intimidated. And the key point is that I had a view. I'm here to get all the learning I can get. And I had a roommate, Catholic, devotee, Marine, and we both had basically the same thinking. We don't care whether we pass or fail. We got to get the best out of here. That's what we had.
Wow.
And that's what we did.
And you stayed on to work your way right through to your doctorate. Is that correct?
And then I taught on the faculty.
Yeah. Wow.
One day Dean called me up and said, you stay here. I was in the MBA. I got a letter from doctor. You have a scholarship and you're going to do doctorate here. I never applied for doctorate. Never applied for the job.
Who drew you towards teaching rather than remaining in corporate life?
If you're going to do doctorate, you only have two things to do: teach and research. There's no other job.
Mm-hmm.
So you teach.
And how did teaching at Harvard and Kellogg reveal the gaps between theory and practice, and also the way that people actually behave in organizations?
I think the Harvard teaching is well known, that you get real life cases, and they're real. They may be truncated, they may be incomplete. And you study and you go to the class, and the instructor calls on you so that you're prepared. And then they say, okay, normal practice, there is a topic, there is a subject. And essence of it is, what is the situation? What are the problems or challenges? And how would you go about it? So from the very beginning, it's very practical oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And those are real cases. They're not fiction.
So did you feel that sets people up for that
Practical
next step?
side, yeah. And you, in a year, MBAs do 500 cases like this. If you want to get the best out of the place, you do all the 500 cases. And you can never go wrong, because you now practice it here, like the Olympics people do. Mm. Northwestern is less. But there's a rigor at Harvard in doing that.
Did you help develop some of those cases that people study?
Later on as a faculty, I had 80 cases.
Wow. You've earned the trust of boards that are very productive, let's say. What does it take to advise at that level and speak the truth to power?
The boards thing first is that the boards in UK are totally different than the rest of the world. Boards in Germany are totally different than the rest of the world. Within the United States, you have public boards. You have boards of companies that companies are owned by private equity. And then you have boards that are public, but basically controlled by families.
Okay.
And then you have totally family-owned companies, and they have advisory boards. That's America. In China, you have public boards, and they are active. But on every board of any significant company, you have a Chinese Communist Party representative. So on the board I have been, I'm just resigned, age, I have a Communist Party guy sits on my left, and we discuss it. In Brazil, it's very similar to the America. India is totally different. 90% of the boards, or 80% of the boards, are family-owned, family-driven. The rest of the boards, basically compliance. Family boards act in India totally differently than any other country. I've been in 2 public boards legally than other boards I go to. So you have a variety of boards. I've been lucky enough to go through most of them except Germany, one in UK in my life.
What do you think the differences are between UK and US?
In UK, the chairman has a lot of power. So I've been with, I think it's 2 boards in UK, now I recall, where the chairman, his office next to the CEO. So I've been advising the CEO. It's a public company, well known. And the CEO has to get chairman's consent before he takes initiative to the board. When there's a big difference, that's a very difficult problem. Second, in England, if company is not performing well, the investors look at the chairman. And they can get both out chairman and the CEO, as it is happening now.
Yeah.
That's not the case in America. America is they look at the CEO and they dump on the CEO. Or actually, which shareholder gets on the CEO. Yes, chairman takes the heat, but it's not the same thing at all.
In America, you can find that the chairman is also the CEO. How does that work with corporate governance? It's very different to the UK.
No, in the US, in large companies, the CEO and chairman are the same people. And the reason is that they think the chairman can go to various big shots outside America, King of Saudi Arabia. But they have what they call lead director. And that is the counterpart. Now, lead director is that is strong, not as strong. Most public boards in America really don't spend enough power, enough drive, enough focus on the business creating market cap. They do mostly compliance, public issues, safety issues, crypto issues, legal issues. And then they're creating a lot of diversity in the board. I don't mean gender diversity, other kinds of functional diversities. And the boards in large companies are very large. GE board used to have 19 directors. We can't manage that. So all that is beginning to change. The only most important job of the board is to get the right CEO. And when he's faltering, to move fast and make a change. If you do have, your work will be reduced going forward. And so some is happening like that now, preemptive moves. But it's amazing how the press knows first that this CEO should be removed, and then they come later. You can do the record, you can plot it, you can see it. Why does it take a board so much time not to come to the conclusion? To give you an example, the public has been saying that the CEO of Nike should be removed. They've been saying, shareholders saying, press is saying. And the founder, Phil Knight, saying, I have full support on him. And then 3 months later, he takes him out. It's very common that happens. Why did he not take him out earlier? The signals are all there. There are other things than capital allocation, selection of the team, relationship with the government. All those are there. But the most important job is keeping, not keeping, coaching, not coaching the right CEO. Now the CEO tenure on the average, I hate averages, is about less than 5 years. There are some that are longer, and there are some they have to leave in 3 years. And part of the reason is initially their fit is not very good. No CEO can do every kind of job. You've got to find a fit between them to do that. So Wells Fargo went through a lot of difficulties, as you know.
Yep.
They appointed an internal guy. That was the first mistake. Why? The problem with Wells Fargo was publicly known was fraud. Why would you appoint an internal guy? Then they got the CEO of one of the banks already, Charlie Scharf. And he came to it. We just saw celebrating. He removed all the difficulties. It's back. It has gone from $14 to about $80. Clean it up. He was the right fit. He may not be the fit for the future. That's the job of a board.
Why is it that organizations' boards take so long to make a decision on their CEO?
You see, it depends on the board composition. First, in many boards, the CEO is very overwhelming. He has, and his people have a lot more data and information about the company than individual board member. They can get it, they don't get it. Second, individual board members do not go to the bottom of the organization, meet people, do not meet the customers. But I have this lady in United Health. She takes on her own as a board member and knows what's happening. She does it. It's in my book, Boards That Lead. And they get almost all information through the CEO. It's PowerPoint presentation to the second. They have, at my proposal in 1994 or so, that every company should have an executive session. It's in my book. And I got calls from CEOs then, what the hell I'm talking? They cannot have a board meeting without them. Fear. Now they are required by law. So it is in these sessions they can ask these questions. So they don't have time to concentrate. Good board actually asks the CEO what they want as an agenda, what information they want. And the CEO sees this as a help to him or her. So this way, this is a good relationship, and they also know it's working. So in General Motors, it's in my book, Boards That Lead, Mary Barra. I have a lot of respect for her. And she is fully informing the board every week. After the investor calls, she calls investors to know what's on their mind, that they did not talk. And she informs the board. The board, I believe, is fully involved in the General Motors case. And she's performing very well.
That's really interesting. You've worked closely with some of the most recognizable leaders in the world.
Those common things are giveaways. They are dedicated, they have a high energy, they know how to read people, they know how a business will make money and all that. And everybody knows that. Why some succeed and why some fail. One of the things that their hardwiring and experience fits what is required in that company at that time. So there was a public debate once, public forum, where Jack Welch and the CEO of Coca-Cola, Roberto Goizueta, were on the dais. I was not there. And somebody in the audience asked that, would you switch? You go to GE, he goes to Coca-Cola, can you manage? And the answer was, I can manage GE, I can't manage Coca-Cola. Same thing Roberto said, I can manage a consumer company, one of its divisions, consumer, but there's no way I can manage a conglomerate.
Different skills.
I use three things: hardwiring, experience, and skills. It's not skills again. at all. It's all the three. Managing a consumer business is hardwiring business. I will be hard-pressed to tell you one in the world who came from industrial side like GE and could run a consumer company. I can guarantee you 90% of chance he will fail.
That's quite a bold statement, but I suppose from even my experiences, you're right.
It's not going to happen.
There's no crossover.
The people make that mistake. So no, it's not going to happen. Not at that age. Now, if you're 20 years of age, you can learn. That's different.
Yep.
But at the age of 46, no way. Now, you could, if you take 3 years off and get work for somebody and get tutoring, you could. That doesn't happen.
Well, how do you decide when you're in these rooms, when you're dealing with these different people, when to challenge the room and when to let silence do the work?
See, the key point is that unless you're truthful to them, don't take the assignment. That's simple. You got to say, I deserve to be fired. It's not your ego. It's see if they get help. I will tell you something you cannot publish. Maybe you can. I'm the only one to tell Jack Welch you were dead wrong and get his decision changed. And he loved it. Nobody could. But I gave him evidence. It's not baloney. I'm standing in Washington. You can publish them. I'm standing in Washington. He sees me, comes towards me, bodyguards are split. And I said, Jack, I heard this. He said, yeah, you're right. I said, you're dead wrong. He said, get your ass in my office Monday morning. Kept me on the hook for 6 months. He said, I changed my mind, thank you. You got to tell the truth. They don't like it, you walk out in a nice way. He says, sir, I owe you the truth. 99% they want to hear the truth. But you have to do it in a courteous way, not a smart way. You have to give evidence. No baloney.
In your book, Execution, it became a management classic. When did you first realise that the gap between knowing and doing was the real problem in most organisations?
Good point. By the way, I call that timeless.
Okay.
It's a time. Because so long humanity, there will always be execution. And the reason I mention that is you can have all the ideas. If you can't execute, you won't survive. That's the reason for it. It became timeless. So when you're in a shoe shop, you learn how to execute. It becomes a part of hardwiring. You teach at Harvard, Northwestern, doesn't matter. If you're teaching at the case, you've got to go for execution. So I am a student MBA. This is something really to be printed. And so one of the most famous professors come in to substitute another one. He's also the number 2 guy in the school. Bulky, long voice. And the class, when he entered, just somehow the energy came. We got the best guy here today. Lucky day. You can feel it. So the class is like an amphitheater, Harvard. The guy's sitting in the back. And he says, Mr. Locke, please start the class, which is normal. They say you come prepared, they call a random guy and so on. He is prepared. In his case, he's so demanding in the sense, if you're not prepared, just say I'm not. It's okay. You failed, you failed. Don't waste class time. It was well known, so which I think is a good policy. You're not prepared, don't waste. And he was prepared. So he asked her, tell us what you're going to do. He starts telling. I'm on looking at him. I said, the guy's damn good, fantastic. So the instructor says to him, he says, Mr. Locke, what would you do He said, I'll fire him. He thumps the table. Instructor. He said, pick up your books, get out. He goes to the door. Come back. How did you feel when I asked you to get out? That's teaching. That's execution. None of us will ever forget it. That's realism. It was not an occasion when we recognized. So the story behind how the book came is, I just finished, I had a heart surgery. And I had an appointment with Welsh on the 10th day. Doctor said, you can't go. I decided to go. It so happened he was at the elevator when I arrived. He was seeing somebody else off. He took my label. How are you doing inside heart surgery? And he went through the room. What the hell are you doing here? I said normal stuff. They say you got to go. He calls the secretary. Call John Snow at the Secretary of Treasury. Get him to do this, all that stuff. We said no. So he says, okay, what's in your mind? He took me to his entry room. There's a flip chart. He said, you sit down, I'll write it. I said, no, Jack, I'll do that. No, he said, no. So I tell him, there's another person with me. So I take him through. I said, Jack, I'm able to nail down what is your system of execution. He said, you have? I said, yeah. And his eyes goes like this. So I tell him and he writes everything I say. He teaches me to improve it. He says, nobody ever gotten it, but this is it. And he says, I'm going to use it in 3 days with a security analyst. So my surmise is he talked to Larry Bassity about it. They're very close friends. They had dinners every 2 weeks. Larry called me up and said, write the book. That's how the book came.
If you could rewrite execution today, what would you change given technology and speed of transformation in business?
First, I should tell you the driver of change. The timeless principles will not change. How to use them will change. So here are 3 principles that need to be inserted. 3 ideas for the same principles to be changed. The first one and the most important one. I have clearly demonstrated, and I put an article in Fortune on this, applied article, that if you know how to use AI, it uses your mental capacity exponentially. That's a part of execution. Second part, it increases your capacity zillion times more. How to monitor the execution of ideas you have. And third, more important thing, it helps you adjusting your budget instantly when you have the geopolitical impact on you. Most have not learned either of the 3 yet. I want you to know I have now become an expert in no organization should have more than 3 layers, no matter how big you are. I'm executing it now. That's part of execution. Why 3? Fewer the layers, faster the speed. Lower the bureaucracy. You take those 2 out, people's capacity increases. More autonomy, more energy, more creativity, more imagination. Could not be done without AI. That's execution. Got to put that in. So these are the nuggets people need to know. Yeah. They are not thoughts. They are being executed today. I have companies that allow me, large companies, to be the labs, to test these ideas. And when they see the results, I don't have to say anything. So I'm inventing these things to make management more effective. More importantly, tapping the human being's creativity more often. That's what I do.
How do those 3 layers work, Ram?
Yes. So the first part is, what is AI? Data, data, data. And the data has to be conformed to the language of the computer. 0, 1. It has to be reliable. Converting data into useful insights, useful combinations, useful outputs is what AI does. That is the automation part. But now AI has more to it. It applies reasoning that you and I apply, and creating outputs. Human mind cannot deal more than 5 or 6 variables. AI reasoning can and does billions of variables today. It does. It acts instantly. It can evaluate zillion options instantly, so to speak. It can challenge assumptions. It can create options. So we say that if you have 10,000 employees, we're going to have 3 layers. The bottom layer is the people who are interfacing with the customer. We take that part of it. There are others who service it. But we know of the 10,000 employees, roughly how many interfacing with the customer. So I'm saying 9,000 going to interface with the customer. If I take the hierarchy out, you will find out only 7,000 are employees, because you got all the hierarchy. I'm going to take all out. Now I have 1,000 employees who are forming the hierarchy. So at the very top, as NVIDIA has, 50 employees reporting to. This is authoritative, because I talk to his assistant now and then. It's public too. It's not a matter of 50 is good number. And any employee can write to him. And it is responded. It's well known. It's not a matter of guessing. So now he's got 50. And obviously they do something. And there's a mechanism how to work with it. Now each of these can have 20. They do the work of what is to be done, how to be done. Controlling of the 9,000 is done by AI. Now stay with that. We know today for at least 25 years, every customer is unique in Amazon, otherwise known as personalization. We know that. You and I personalize with database. We're going to personalize every employee. And every employee has now, let us say, 1,000 customers. His AI, her AI. So personalizing each employee, what he needs, what training he needs, why is he floundering, what is succeeding. Algorithm doing it instant analysis all the way through. And we're going to provide help. Now help, yes, you can have on your staff or help you rent. Yes, I'm going to rent it. I'm not going to have on a staff. That's how we create 3 layers. And NVIDIA is going to do that soon. I'm not working. Sooner or later going to come. But I am moving ahead with it in one company.
That sounds like corporate governance at its very essence is something that builds efficiency.
Corporate governance doesn't do it. It's the CEO. Those directors have no clue. No. Now, if you have an active chairman in UK, he would drive that if he's an active chairman. So if I were to put Benioff as chairman in a UK company, I bet you money he will get it done. He's built that way. He knows that way. He has the largest sales force in the world other than Oracle in that area. So he knows what ticks.
What do you think are some of the warning signs that boards are spending too much time talking and not enough time deciding?
See, first we go to a variety of boards, but I pick some. If you're a family-owned company totally, all the major things are decided by the family, not by the board. There are occasional exceptions. Boards are there for name, contact with the government's regulators, advising in stressful situations, bringing outside view. Those boards, you leave them alone. Private equity firms that own firms or participate, their boards, they work. They have accountability. They are selected for ideas that create shareholder value. There's a term called capital clock. Most people have never heard of it. That term means your capital has to return. It has a clock. You must return on capital in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's time-based return, therefore the clock. Those boards dig in. Those boards look at it. They understand. They allocate capital. They are the real boss of the CEO. That's what public boards like AT&T, Verizon, and so on. Not much really on market cap takes place. I use the word creating market cap. So it's a measure of shareholder value and creating value for the customer. In AT&T, the previous CEO made a blunder. It's being rectified. In Verizon, they just fired the CEO. On the board is Schulman, who has been before in AT&T, knows the business. He was PayPal, he's on the board. And Mark Bortolini, Aetna, he's very shareholder-oriented. So they now fired the other guy. And now he is being very clearly thinking how to reposition Verizon. They've talked about it. Surstenberg was brought in from Ericsson and don't have the mindset of a private equity capital clock. These two guys do. They have now seen how they go. So in the public domain, they spend time on strategy. I can take you through that. It's pitiful what they do in strategy in the boards. I've been there myself, presented and all that. It's a 2-day retreat, a lot of PowerPoints. In some cases, they have now assigned teams of the board to work with the CEO for a strategy. That can be helpful, it can be harmful, both. But a strategy does not earn money. It does not create market cap. You don't know how good is the strategy unless you execute it. And there is a gap between that and the execution. So again, it's not the board, it's going to be the CEO. Boards can help to figure out the blind sides. Boards can help say, your assumption really is good or not so good. Redo, rethink. They can say that. And there are very incisive people who do that. They're highly valuable.
So if the importance sits with the CEO, the need to be able to drive this forward, to make sure that the execution happens, you've advised countless boards on CEO succession. What do you think distinguishes the best transitions from the ones that falter?
Well, first we got to come to terms. At the end of the day, you have all the processes. It's going to be a gut decision, judgment decision. And every decision to be CEO selection is going to be imperfect. But you raise the odds. The most common succession processes are PowerPoint presentations. No digging. There are some good practices. In one of the companies, the board members met in every board meeting at breakfast. 2 board members, 1 potential candidate, 4 years. I think you get a good feeling what's happening. In GE, we had critical directors, they're not all of them. My chair committees and all that will go to the site up to 2 days together to the site of the candidates. They get a feel. So we have an article I wrote it, Succession at Coca-Cola. In the first round, I organized it, where the Muhtar Kent CEO opened up the place and talked to the directors and say, we're going to send you candidates. You interview them, tell them whatever. Tell us anybody any good. And also tell us what they need to do to develop. I believe, which I wrote it for him, they did a real dedicated job. And the answer was, nobody is suitable. That was a lesson. And Muhtar wanted to know, said, that's good. So then opened the kimono for me further. And they had a great relationship with Allen and Company for a long time. And one of their, I think it is the CEO, who was on the board of Coca-Cola. And those people matter in the succession. So Muhtar Kent took them all around the world to meet all these chiefs in various countries. And they struck by the guy in Argentina. They moved him to Europe fast, kept him, saw him. I interviewed him. He's a CEO and done very well. All the succession planning that was out of the window.
So like you say, it comes down to gut feel.
At the end, but there was a record of this person. It's known. This was all prepared.
Of course.
It was a record. But I have not known a company that takes the 5, 6 members of the board all over the world. Spend a day. They obviously given data and all that. And so obviously CEOs with them, and is look at their point, the questions they're asking, and they say, I think that looks to us better. And it's a gut side, but they're very sharp questions. I mean, these people know how to read people. So I have a lot of faith in Allen and Company because I've known their record. That's all they do, money and people. And you see that, yeah? Now, I have to tell you, the Quincy, if you meet him, he could not be the candidate. He's a Britisher. But he is the right person. His appearance and all that doesn't look he should be chief of Coca-Cola. But when you dig into him, you say, oh yes. So all the succession pipeline that is done by HR needs a big beefing. The facts are this should go in. Very large proportion of HR people hesitate to put the judgment on people. Or they don't know how to judge people. But that's a fact they are not willing to tell and put in writing, I think this is the best candidate. These are the reasons in my judgment. I know yours could be totally different. So in one of the companies, I'm now putting that in. I said, go on the line. You're not going to get fired. It's a matter of your judgment versus somebody else's judgment. But you give some reasons for it. This is a major failure in HR. Can you think about a finance person not saying to the boss, you are raising the money in a different way? You're going to go broke.
You've advised boards through recessions, scandals, and geopolitical shocks.
Oh, yes. Very difficult situations.
What mistakes do boards repeat when the world changes faster than they do?
Yeah, one of the things I'm doing, the first thing I should tell you is that a large part is to get the CEO and the board on the same page. I do that. They have very difficult situations. A second one I do to have the boards learn the decisions only they should make and not others. Third, I advise them how to conduct the executive sessions. Fourth, I advise them they must tell the CEO only one thing that he must change. Not 2, not 3, not 4. And they get it. I do advise them they must learn the business money-making model of the company by heart. Take a day, go down, learn it. And then they should, together with the CEO, should do 12-month agenda. They should say, we want to see this, get the information. Work with the CEO, get a common agenda. You see a different board.
And do you think that boards today are better equipped to manage uncertainty than those 20 years ago?
Boards never manage uncertainty. They should be fired. CEO has to manage uncertainty. They should together create the parameters, what they have to. Give you an example. Trump is clearly on the path of tariffs. I think we can forecast he's going to stay with them. Tariffs creates havoc on pricing, by definition. There is no way board can manage a pricing. CEO has to manage a pricing. And his people have to manage pricing and quantity. But what board can say, take us through the methodology, how you're going to do that. We may have some ideas. I did not say we will have some ideas. We may have some ideas. But the board has to ensure the company has a methodology of managing and a methodology of managing risks. And as a result, what will be the cash flow and what will be the capital allocation? That is their accountability. They should do that.
After meeting some of the most powerful people in the world, what have you learned about vulnerability and fear amongst those people?
One of the things I saw in Jack Welch, if you are in private with him, he wants to hear all the bad news. He doesn't want to hear good news. He's very good at it. So I felt very comfortable. He knows I'm going to come and see him, obviously. And he knows I'm not going to say great things. But I've done my homework. And listen. So in my work, I see these very powerful people. So long they trust you. More importantly, they know I'm not a blabbermouth. So one of the reasons I don't have firm is strictly that. I've been offered chairmanship of consulting companies. I've never taken them.
So you prefer to work alone, essentially?
Nobody knows the secret. Everything I told you, there's no secret in any of these. But I have some of the most confidential stuff. I think I'm probably one of the few people in the cabinet, on the planet who knows why GE failed. But I'm not going public. People have come to me incessantly, the writers, they know, they've been told. So you're going to talk. I said, no, I'm not going to talk. It's done, you go forward. And you can't say, this is my fault, this is his fault. No. But I have very specific things. What went wrong? But there were some very good things that are done. And in those good things, they now built GE back to the highest price ever. So there were some great things. So that's why you have to be totally trustworthy.
Integrity is such a major part of being in the
Blabbermouthing is the worst thing. You can talk to any powerful person, because they know they need the truth. They know they need the truth.
What's one piece of advice you find yourself repeating, no matter who you speak to?
You see, every situation is different. Every situation in my kind of work has nuances. Generalities don't do any good. Give you an example. Dependence on India and China is significant. We give $100 billion to China in imports, in hard dollars. With those dollars, they buy gold. Think about that. That's simple. So how do we reduce the dependence on China? And so the idea here is that I can use general talk. I believe others can do general talk. Mine is to take them by hand. How do we reduce in 3 years? First one is, can't be done. Second is, here's a blueprint. Third is, here's the first action. I begin in August. We now have this action rolling right now. The announcement yesterday by President Xi now put the nail in the head that we were right to move ahead. So it has to be very specific.
Do you believe that good leadership can be taught, or do you think it must be lived?
I think we should go this way. The tools to improve your performance as leadership are taught, can be improved. If you don't use them, it's not going to happen. Those tools are here, they can be improved, and they will be improved. But the hard wiring, conditioned by experiences, has to fit what is the situation demands. Just like an industrial 30-year-old experience, 30-year experience guy running a chain stores consumer thing is not the best idea. But I could take a person who has run a small chain of chain stores, and there are enough tools for this person to scale up fast and be better. We could do that. This idea that any leader can run any other company could be true, but not for 99% of the people. It's not. The GE model was okay for GE at that time.
If you could speak to your younger self, standing in that shoe shop in India, what would you tell him?
Yesterday, there is a school named Ramcharan School of Leadership in Pune. It's in my name. And here, I went in yesterday. So I had the full hall, mostly first-year students. I had challenged the faculty just an hour before that I'm not involved in the governance of it. I say your best metric is that every graduate gets employed within 120 days of graduation. I'll give you a process how to do that. And that will be the measure I will have if I were the chairman of the governance, which I'm not. But the person who owns the place, he has now given that directive yesterday afternoon. Faculty together, this is what you're going to do. It doesn't matter what else you do.
That's a legacy for you. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is going to be. But I'm going to be watching that because while I'm not in it, which I can be in it, I said, you should be proud of it. You're a teaching institution. You are not an institution to do fundamental research. They're not, by definition. So I met these young people. They gave me 40 minutes to do that. And so I said, all of you got to have employment within 120 days. You start thinking now. Day one. Faculty will help you. So in doing that, I got them to old ChatGPT first. I said, it's all there. So how many of you want to be in sales? It's okay, you can change your mind. How many of you in production? How many of you going to do public relations, government relations? Then how many of you want to be building a business? And the 3/4 of the class went like this. I said, yes, I love that. So how do you start? So I open your ChatGPT and learn what does it take to start from day one. Who has done it? Who have not done it? I say, forget the school. You are the captain. So then I take them through and say, learn to find out what's your calling. I give them Indian examples of calling. I give Steve Jobs' example of calling. Give yourself a test. What I love to do even though I'm failing. That's your first signal. Ask your colleagues what you love to do, what you shy away from doing it. Pursue that. And that is the secret of all people I've ever known who became very successful. So that was the first one. The second one in life, your learning here is packaged learning. In learning in real life, is learning from experience in a messy situations. You got to learn how to learn in real life. And third, You've got to learn how to work with people. Working in people here is different than working with the people in real life. And to do that, I use it. I see in interviews. Show how you learn to listen. Those are the things I told them.
What do you hope future generations remember about your work?
Nothing. Nothing. They got to create their own. That's what it is. I don't believe in legacies. They got to create their own.
Ram, what advice would you give to CEOs?
I think it's a foregone conclusion. There will be more uncertainties driven by governments, regulations, and AI, not less. Change your psychology, how to navigate from how do we hope to have stability. So you will be dealing with these different type of people called in government, regulations, politicians. Are you psychologically ready to do that? What I have observed, first you have to come to respect that they are bright people, most of them dedicating to achieve something that has been designed for the system. It's no use of calling them bureaucrats. It doesn't accomplish anything. When they are on their own outside the bureaucracy, they are bright people, dedicated people, honest people. Some may not be. So to learn how to take their point of view. Why is their point of view? How the system demands for them to have a point of view. And then engage in discussion. Example, I was in Seidenberg, lower level employee. AT&T got a split. Before the split, he made the case to the chairman. 3 levels between him and the chairman. We are not taking the viewpoint of the regulator. Showed. Everybody between the chairman and him hated him. Eventually he became the chairman of Verizon. That's how I took this number 9 company to be number 1. Adopt learning the viewpoint of the other person and deal with it. It's a requirement of leadership of the future.
Thank you very much for your time today, Ram. Really appreciate it.
I don't think I need to write a note. I really sincerely thank you. You prepared extremely well and a great set of questions to get the best out of the person.
Having Ram here today was fantastic. I had an opportunity to reconnect, but also to have conversations with him that I know that he is developing his ideas on. For instance, execution is key. I'm sure all CEOs would understand that, and that's something for them to drive in organizations. It's really important to ensure that there's efficiency within an organization, and Ram suggested his new concept of 3 tiers, which is really interesting and helps cut bureaucracy and get everything moving really efficiently. The use of AI was also really interesting as to how he would look to manage the majority of the workforce through AI. And finally, I think it's about creating your own story. Ram is definitely somebody that's keen that people do that for themselves, and everyone's journey will look different, but we should look at everything with a fresh pair of eyes every time we come to the new situation in order to make sure we interpret things with that new perspective. Thank you, Ram, for sharing your wisdom and for reminding us that leadership at its best is deeply human. And to everyone listening, thank you for being with us. I'm Erika Eliasson-Norris, and this has been Grit in the Boardroom. Until next time.